So now we put all together in what the authors of this chapter called paramedic ethics for technology. So what is a paramedic? Paramedic is someone that knows a little bit of medicine and know when to ask for help. I forgot to mention at the beginning of this lecture series is that ethics is a very difficult and huge subject in philosophy. People spend their whole lives studying ethics. We've taken 2 hours to learn a little bit about a few concepts, including utilitarian ethics, dialectics, the ontological and the analogical reasoning. This doesn't make you an expert in ethics. It makes you, you're just a beginner, right? There was the crash course on ethics. So that's why they call it a paramedic ethics for technology. So we've learned a few concepts, and we're going to now put all of them together as a method for tackling ethical questions related to technology. So what's the method? Paramedic ethics method. First, you have to identify the stakeholders. Right? Identify the stakeholders. This will help you to narrow the scope of the problem. So you're going to identify who are the people that are actually involved in the particular technological ethics related to a piece of technology. You have to identify benefits and costs. That's the utilitarian step. There are various strategies that could be used to aggregate costs and benefits, and utilitarianism, as I mentioned, is another large area that includes economics and social sciences, and including some AI methods are based on utilitarianism. Then consider duties, responsibilities, prohibitions, and obligations. That's the deontological step, as we talked about a few minutes ago. And think of if there is an analogous situation that's simpler and that can help us to clarify a few points of the question that we want to analyze. That's reasoning by analogy. And at the end, make a decision. It's also called a reflective equilibrium, because sometimes a decision is not something that everybody agrees with, but it's a decision that is kind of a compromise between many opinions. Or if you don't get to this compromise, you have to repeat the whole process in dialectic form, meaning that trying to get closer and closer to a solution as possible. And in the end, I'm afraid to say that there is no step-by-step solution method that will produce you the best result for an ethical question. There is no algorithm for deciding on an ethical question, and there are just too many variables, and some of these variables are totally subjective. So this is just this paramedic ethics method. It helps you to create your arguments and to help you to decide on ethical questions, and better than, oh, I think this, oh, I think that. So you're now more informed. You can get better informed at making an ethical decision in your own work, and you should start now with your course projects, making these questions when you develop your project. And it's not just that you can do it, that you should do it. That's the original question. All right, so case 34, we are going to apply this paramedic ethics method to a new problem. That's the genetic information and medical research. In this case is based on this fictional ethical situation. There's a family doctor that asks you to participate in a study of genetic diversity and disease by donating some skin cells, some of your skin cells. Cells are identified by a randomly assigned number and your zip code. The question is, should you donate it? Now, first step is to identify the stakeholders. Stakeholders are you, your family doctor, The pharmaceutical company is sponsoring the family doctor. Let's call it farm.co. Skin cell donors to study in general, not only you, but it's probably it's been asked for a large group of donors. And the people with the genetic disease aimed at that this study is aimed at curing with using your skin cells. So what is at stake? For you, you lose a few skin cells. It's not going to damage anything. You're just going to get someone that's going to scratch your surface of your hand a little bit and get a few skin cells. Other things that is at stake, your privacy. The PharmCo may seek to learn your identity. If your skin cells are important, they may want to know more about you. If your skin cells can be used to advance in the scientific research. And also if you have some genetic data, this could be intercepted by hackers again. Would you want that? Would you not want that? Would you mind? Your doctor might be paid for finding patient participants. PharmCo may develop new drugs that may help to cure genetic diseases, but also PharmCo is making quite a lot of money out of it. I make quite a lot of money out of it. Should you get paid as well because you donated the skin cells? Drugs could help people with genetic diseases. Now, if you don't donate your skin cells, you're probably preventing the finding of cure. Would you do that, even though you're not getting paid, and even though PharmCo might make billions with your own skin cells? Right? None of these are simple questions, and but that helps you to actually bring up the details about the ethical question that you have to solve, that you want to solve. Identify duties and responsibilities. That is the deontological step. Your doctor has a duty to treat you and protect your privacy. You have a duty to pay the doctor and follow instructions. PharmCo has a duty to develop safe drugs. PharmCo has promised to pay doctors for finding participants. PharmCo has promised to respect your privacy. So this is the deontological. There are more complex duties and responsibilities, such as, should you get royalties if your information leads to a profitable drug? Does PharmCo own genetic information, or should it be shared freely with other pharm companies? Why is zip code part of encoding? Do you have a duty to help cure a disease? Most of it are quite challenging questions that nowadays, some of them are touching quite personal decision-making process. But at least now with the paramedic method, you know which questions to ask. All right. Step 4, find an analogy. Analogy 1, you can compare to Red Cross blood donations. Both the genetic skin cell donation and the blood donation involve confidential health information. Both ask for volunteer donors. Both have collectors and users who are paid. Both involve altruistic reasons for donation. Blood is the valuable item. Genetic information in skin cells is the value. Company might or might not find usefulness in cells. Company is driven by profit and loss. So these are all the similarities. Now, the key question is which of these similarities and dissimilarities are morally relevant for your decision? Again, it's your decision, right? This is one analogy. Okay, analogy 2. You can compare to for-profit companies that solicit money for charity. In both cases, confidentiality is an issue. In both cases, volunteers are asked to donate by someone with financial interest in the donation, right? There's a percentage of the donations that are turned into the companies. They are making some of these companies make billions for themselves, right? There are a few of these companies that take about 60% of your donations. Both involve altruistic motivations, yes, so that's the deontological part, right? Altruistic motivations. One involves donating money, the other does not, so there's a difference. Doctor and pharmaceutical roles don't quite match for-profit company, so this is a key difference. Again, you should ask yourself which similarities and dissimilarities are morally relevant. Which one makes sense for you to actually apply the analogical reasoning and decide whether you should donate a few skin cells for research or not. Then there's step 5, make a decision or loop again. You must you decide right now while you are at the doctor and the doctor is asking for your donation. Should you do more research? Should you ask other people? You might choose to decline unless you know more about farm costs, use of information, policy, and what are the financial interests of the stakeholders. If you're not happy with this, you can loop again and do the whole procedure from step 1 to step 5 until you reach a compromise or a consensus between all of these stakeholders and what are the gains and what are the prohibitions and allowances that would help you to make a decision. Again, it's not my decision to make. You can use it to your own profit to help your own ethical questions. This is just an example of the application of this very simple but very effective method for ethical decision making. Another important thing before we move on to our last part of this lecture series, you should be aware of the professional organizations. So if you are a computer scientist, maybe the Association for Computing Machinery, the ACM, is the place that you should go. They have a well-written code of ethics and professional conduct that's in this site. If you are an electrical engineer or robotics engineer, you should go to the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, IEEE, and they also have a code of conduct, and there are many other professional codes of conduct depending on your career. In the final part of this lecture series, we're going to talk about a very recent problem that involves ethical decision making, and that's a very hairy, very difficult problem. That's bias in machine learning. I'll see you in a minute.